Welcome to my channel. We're going to write a program today for a car park revenue generator. What this program does is, once a car is parked in a car park of a shopping mall, multi-international organizations, market squares, or any sort of public space, it's going to record the time a driver parks the car, and at the end of it all, you're gonna pay a little charge for parking in such a parking space. So what this program does is, immediately a driver parks a car, there is an actuator through a sensor that will trigger the start button of this program, and then it starts to read. Each minute the car is parked in that space has a charge of 15 naira. And then if probably you park your car for 4 minutes, that's going to be 15 times 4. So you're going to pay about 60 naira. Now that's a very simple program. Once the driver leaves the car park, drives out of that very place, the actuator activates the stop button and then returns the value that was generated to a security personnel, who will now collect the money from the driver before he drives out. It was quite a simple program. Let's see how to write the code. Stay tuned. Alright, here is our form view. Let's head straight to the code. It was very simple to arrange this. If you don't know how to do it, watch my previous videos. You will have a knowledge of how to go about this. So let's go back straight to the code. Now the first thing we want to do is to activate our starter, such that when we start, our second will start reading. So we activate it from the timer. We go to the timer environment and then we call the value or the variable name for your second. So hence, our variable name for second is LBL second. Our LBL second.text will be plus or equal to 1. That means it's going to read 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright? And then from here, immediately we click our start button, it's going to start reading this. So we go to our start button and then type that our time should start counting at an interval of 1000 milliseconds. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is to go back to the timer and then tell the timer that if your LBL second dot text is equal to 60, then your LBL minute should read in ones. Meanwhile, your LBL second should restart back to 0. That's the first action. Now, alongside to, if LBL minute dot text is equal to 60, also 60 minutes make 1 hour, right? Then our LBL hour dot text should be equal to plus equal to 1. Then meanwhile, your minutes should restart back to 0. Okay, now let's run the program and see what that does for us before we continue. Alright, here is a program, so let's click on start. Okay, That was correct. Now let's try to run the program again to check for our Naira and Kobo daily total at the same time. Alright, the first thing we want to do is to set our parameter. What is going to be the value for our currency? How much is going to be charged per second? So let's dim integer. Let's dim pay as integer equals to 25 kobo per second. That's what you want to charge because it's 15 naira. If you know how to run your mathematical equations, you'll know what this means in 1 minute. Okay, therefore our LBL kobo is going to be plus equal to pay. Actually, you can use 35 directly here without having to write this here. It's still the same thing. It doesn't really matter. The text is going to be equal to A. Then there's going to be a condition here. If your LBL kobo.text is equal to 100, because every 100 kobo it's 1 naira, then your LBL naira dot text should be plus equal to 1. At this point, your LBL kobo should be reset to 0. Alright, that's all for this very part. Then we go to the stop button. In the stop button, once the stop button is clicked, the first thing you do is that your timer should stop. And when the timer stops, you should send the value that was generated to your total. So that means your LBL total dot text will now be equal to the value that was present in your LBL naira dot text. This should be concatenated to a dot value before the LBL kobo.text. Let's run the program and check if that is correct before we do one more thing, and then that ends the program. Alright, here's our program. Let's see now. We click on the start button. Our second is reading, but our kobo is not reading. So let's see where that problem comes from. Let's go back to the code now. Looking at this, we have a value here that let's see. Okay, if our second is up to 60, if our second is up to 60, then that means our kobo is going to read, but that's not true. Maybe the second starts counting, the kobo should start counting. So here we will remove this from here, and then bring it up here. Immediately you start the program, start reading. I think that's gonna work. Let's see again. Okay, we have a program right here. Let's run. Whoa, it's actually giving us an error. So where do you think this can actually come from? You see, it's actually better that you write programs like this and run into programs, faults and all that, so that you have a reason to debug, hence you learn from there. Now, what could actually be the problem? It's complaining here that it cannot, an unhandled expression or exception of type system.invalid cast exception has occurred. Now, what that simply means is that if you look at this, our form view, there was no initialization of the value for label. So the label got to start somewhere for the program to understand it's a numeric value. So in that situation, you just have to initialize your value for your LBL naira and kobo to 0. Now that will be done immediately you click the start button. So you go to start button and then initialize the When once I start the program, let my LBL Naira dot text be initialized to 0, and the same thing with my LBL Kobo dot text should be initialized to 0. Let's see what happens. Okay, here's our program, so let's start. You can see it's reading, it's working perfectly fine now. Okay, it's gonna read continuously till the person drives out of the park, and then you click on stop. It sends a value that you've actually spent 18 seconds there, and you're paying 4 naira 50 kobo. That was just pretty simple. I hope you enjoyed the program. See you in my next video. Bye for now.